made 14 more and attempted 11 more. Here's Paul George, a three.
It's incredible. Korver makes you work so hard off multiple screens, and they go to the other side of the floor with Carroll.
They've already gotten up 15 three-pointers. Paul George.
Inside the final minute.
Makes it. Paul Pierce, 7 points. For Rose rather than have the physical contact.
Donald Sloan now comes in for Indiana. Paul George.
Second half for their starters. It's the all-star Paul George, top side to West. George gets it.
Stevenson, West, Hibbert, George and Hill out there. Paul George.
First lead for Chicago since they led 23-21. And now Paul George.
He's been going to stay aggressive yet maintain control, and that has been the case. He's had some just superb playoff performances this year. George.
Kevin Love.
Played almost 4 minutes of the first quarter. Now Paul George, his first three.
Earlier this year, and last year in an Indiana win here, he was sick.
That is short. Stevenson grabs the rebound. Indiana's 2-point lead matches their largest. Paul George has 14.
Last year, now he's just playing, really at another level confidence-wise.
Turner to Paul George and his 3
by 6. Paul George again for another
games of the year. They had 90 against Indiana, 90 on the road against Orlando. They're averaging 103 a game.
Making the pass, making a move, and then the next guy doing the same thing. Guys have held on.
Not won here since November 28th of 2007.
You do that and then play with the timing, they'll come. Because you've seen it often enough.
I bet he's got about 4 or 5 field goals off that left block. A big offensive night for Dwayne Wade. Paul George
Was in Landover officially. 6-point lead for Washington with 5 minutes to play in the fourth. George, step back 3.
From that, it was a 2. He just walked by and told him it was a two-point shot.
They will review it at our next dead ball, or at a timeout. Our timeout coming here in the third quarter. Here's Paul George behind.
If you're an Indiana fan, once again, you're so happy not only to see guys cheering and chest bumping, but to see them get back to playing the way they play.
It really is okay.
While the Blazers average 105, they don't play at the same pace as we saw.
The left-handed shot. He's now 7 for 14 from the field in this game. 15 points, 11 boards, and 4 blocks. Full stat line. Here's George.
Especially that second night of a back-to-back. Of course, no Brook Lopez, no Andre Blatch.
Today to watch the Colts and the Pacers, and both games are sellouts. Indiana with its 11th of the year, and they have played very well here as Paul George shoots a 3 and center field and was trying to help, and Fareed made a great basket cut. Paul George has been quiet, just 8 points.
His Friday night. And Orlando Johnson, who's back home in California, another.
I think the Pacers are taking too long to get into their offense. If you're pushing tempo, that's part of it.
A quick start to the third quarter for OKC. 5 straight points. George, he's been struggling.
That's what you want to see. I mean, you probably can do it better off of misses, but you got to attack early. You got to go in there, keep going.
See that man with the yellow hard hat under the basket? That's a South Florida native, Matthew Asen, owns a seafood restaurant.
Hibbert and Rasul Butler for Indiana.
But that is to his credit, because, Chris, as you know, this young man worked very hard this summer. Larry Bird talks about how Roy Hibbert was here all summer. Well, so was Larry.
And he's a good 3-point shooter at 40%.
Right there. Right there.
Time score at the small forward or power forward position can rebound the basketball. Indiana's going to have to pay attention. Coach Spoelstra immediately tells Bosch to defend Wade, to defend West, who wants to put
The 12th turnover for Atlanta.
3 in this quarter alone. Indiana down 2 with the ball. Here's George for 3 in the lead.
They played a great fourth quarter to pull that one out of the fire in Atlanta. Would they be back? The answer is no.
No, not even close.
57-32.
I don't see them beating this Atlanta Hawks team tonight, coming back from that
playoffs. He's only taken 9 the entire postseason, and he puts the Heat up by 10. James's injury is not an injury, it's cramping.
A good night, but more often than not, with those percentages, that's not going to happen.
Now Paul George to the top of the key, and his 3-point.
He's just so long with that left hand.
They've cut it to 8. It was a 16-point advantage. Paul George, a 3.
It was demanded. And, of course, he transferred it over to the NBA level. Danny Granger checks in, along with Luis Scola. Catch and shoot.
He has 14 in this quarter.
Oh, I'm telling you, he's been lighting it up.
Because one of the challenges the Pacers have is from an energy perspective. And Lance is by far the most energetic player they've gotten. And so they play him with the second unit so he can bring that energy to the second group.
Paul George against Kawhi Leonard.
Countered because of the goaltend. Paul George with the
late. He is at the top of the list.
That's right. If you ask Coach Vogel, West is their rating.
George, an open 3.
That's a nice name out of the past that God can hook up with.
Moses.
Moses with the league MVP and the playoff MVP.
Stevenson, Hill, Scola, George, Hibbert. Pacers have 4 of their 5 starters on the floor. Pressey is guarding Hill.
They're trying to force Pressey up to get a shot here, but they're good. You got Green coming. That's made a good move there.
Chris Johnson is in, second year out of Dayton. He wears number 12. He is guarding Evan Turner, who has checked in for the first time.
Wide open. He fumbled it on the catch.
Hollins' job. They handed the reins to assistant Dave Yeager. They're making a push to get back in the playoffs, and they've been great since the start of the year. 18, trying to make it 10 straight at home. They have the league's best home record. As
We're saying before the game that likes to run a lot.
No, they're basically a half-court team. Yeah, they'll take the quick break if it's there. The last time these two teams played.
From the 3-point line, they've made 5. Indiana 2.
Paul George. Well, they try to do this together. You got guys that feel like they can do it on their own, and that's just not the way you're going to beat many teams in this league.
They put Stevenson again in the post, out to Paul George, and his 3-point.
Yeah, don't be doggy.
George delivers it back outside to West. Their shot clock is now 12. George.
Again, the Clippers had cut it to 9. First time in single digits. The Pacers lead since back in the second quarter. He's hit 4 of them. Could it be 5?
Boy, and I really think, and I agree with, go after the big fella. Force him to block a shot or two and see what it... And maybe you get to the line.
Here's in a nice little flow right now. He's taking 5 a game, 5 threes a game.
6 of 8. The Suns are 6 of 8 from the field. George falling.
Any way he can fight, because he can't get one to drop.
And now Paul George off the end. And Indiana now looks for a double-figure lead, led by 17 in the first half. Outscored the 76ers 12-2 to start the second quarter. And it's Paul George at the free.
I wouldn't be surprised if they don't get Tony Allen out of the game.
To get that to go. And I expect David West to look to get his offense.
On David West, he got matched up against him.
7-point first half. Again, the backup minutes with the injury to C.J. Watson.
This is what I'm talking about, second and third option. He ran the play through.
Tony Parker.
That's one of those things we talk about. He came off that screen and was able to get into his shot and rhythm. And you can't let guys
get into the rhythm there.
Lance Stevenson. George sets his
9 games below 500. Every game is a must-win because it gets you going and gets you the feel of winning again.
Getting a precautionary X-ray on his neck. Right?
Thank you, Lisa. Meanwhile, Hibbert back in. This is the first almost 10 minutes of this quarter.
George, Indiana's trying to give him some off-the-ball action to work Ariza, but to also get George inside very easily.
Second foul on Trevor Ariza. 5 on the timer.
Series in 2012 before the Eastern Finals, the second round series.
Paul George, most definitely. And when it comes to playing two-way, I think he's a top 3, top 4 player in this league.
Reg?
Absolutely. I think two-way player. He's second behind LeBron James at getting.
You don't see Eddie do that very much.
No, because he really likes to use the board a lot when he makes shots going to the basket.
Paul George pops out.
Eyes of Hibbert, he can make that shot. Stevenson.
8-4.
Paul George backs out.
In a film session yesterday, spirited shoot-around this morning in preparation for Game 5. Paul George lines it up.
Yesterday, Teletovic and Pierce both insisted on putting the ball on the floor, getting in the paint against Milwaukee. Here's George.
Right away, because it's the one way the Pacers can get themselves back in the game and not use any clock.
They look for that play again with Paul George going to the rim.
Put it in the basket.
And now Paul George.
Things are going well for the Pacers. That's all I can say.
Again, they had that time off, 7 games and 11 nights. Capping with that 93-66 win. Here's Paul George, 8
baskets around the rim. A 1-point Pacers lead early on here in L.A. Here's Paul George.
They're going to trade Youngs with Jimmy Kimmel on Jimmy's show on ABC. And George telling us as he
tips to get this crowd going, but this crowd was a big factor in Game 3. Atlanta winning Game 1 and Game 3 2 days ago, and they have a chance to put in the
shot and is able to get it to go down. Oh, good brick by
overtime. Seconds to play. Here's Paul George, a 3. It's on the way.
And that's so important in this league. Clearing spaces to be able to get a shot. Roy Hibbert has come back in the game.
And you see, I shorted him 2 points. He has 17. Here's Paul George for 3.
Watson gets fancy. Westbrook putting pressure on. George off the screen, traced by Durant. Difficult shot.
Basketball, creating space, and obviously having confidence in his jump shot.
Says he has great memories playing in Indianapolis at Bankers Life Fieldhouse, 4.5 years as Paul.
Quick into George. George has to fight. The 76ers are worse in the turnover department. 3-point shooting for Golden State, just 3 of 12 in the first half.
Part of the equation is when you give up a high percentage, like the Nets have given up against Oklahoma City and Indiana, not as many chances to get boards.
One of the reasons I think Frank went back to this, with Sloan in the game, you get into your offense faster. He knows his job is to get you in the offense, not necessarily looking to find anything for yourself.
Now Paul George, a 3. Thompson's already fouled out. And the Pacers have the first possession of overtime. George jumped
with an opportunity for a second signature win at home early in this season.
Indiana led by 15. And the Celtics right there now. Here's Paul George back.
What this is about, this is for the long haul. So while it's a 3-game slump, for the long haul, it's a very minor deal right now.
The 4th leading 3-point shooter in the NBA this year. Last year in Dallas, he averaged 15 points per game. And now Paul.
Bench players on the floor here all together. This is where they've struggled. In fact, before the Crawford trade.